If he leaves you wondering where you stand, you're not in a relationship, you're in a game. Let's be real. You're not here by accident. You're here because something feels off. 1 minute he's texting non-stop, blowing up your phone with sweet words. The next he's cold, distant, and you're left staring at your screen, questioning everything. Let me guess you've asked yourself, am I overthinking this? Is it just me? Should I give him the benefit of the doubt again? Let me stop you right there. If a guy is making you feel uncertain, anxious, or confused, more often than he's making you feel secure, valued, and seen, you're not crazy. He's playing games. And the worst part, they're not always obvious. Some guys don't ghost. They breadcrumb. They don't disappear. They dangle just enough attention to keep you hooked without ever giving you the real thing. But here's the good news. You're not powerless. In fact, the moment you recognize the game, you already start to win. In this video, I'm not just going to tell you what the red flags are. I'm going to show you how to flip the script. We're talking real strategies, clear signs, and power moves that put you back in the driver's seat. So if you're tired of the confusion, the mixed signals, and the mind games, it's time to level up. Grab your tea, sis. You're about to learn how to stop being played and start being unforgettable. Let's get into it. When a guy plays games, it's not always because he's evil or trying to hurt you, though. Let's be clear, that doesn't excuse his behavior. It's often deeper than that. It's psychological. A lot of men play games out of insecurity, fear, or a need for control. They crave validation, but they're terrified of vulnerability. So instead of being upfront about their feelings, they keep things murky. Why? Because if you're confused, you're easier to manage. If you're chasing him, he doesn't have to risk putting himself out there. For some guys, playing games is learned behavior. Maybe he got hurt before, or maybe he watched someone he looked up to manipulate women and thought, that's just how the game is played. Whatever the reason, it becomes a cycle. Act hot, pull back, reappear, repeat. It gives him a sense of power, like he's controlling the pace of the relationship without ever committing to it. And here's where it gets even more twisted. Some men genuinely enjoy the chase more than the connection. The minute you start showing consistency, they get bored. Not because you did anything wrong, but because they were never looking for depth in the first place. They wanted a boost to their ego, not a bond. These are the guys who flirt heavy, future fake, and then vanish the moment you start taking them seriously. There are also those who test your boundaries on purpose. They want to see how much you'll tolerate, how far they can push before you walk. And sadly, the more you excuse the behavior, the more they assume you'll keep accepting it. That's why understanding this game is so crucial, because once you see it clearly, it stops having power over you. Men who are emotionally mature don't need to play games. They value clarity, honesty, and connection. But the ones who haven't done the work, they'll keep cycling through women, leaving confusion behind like it's a signature move. So now that you know what's really going on behind those mixed signals, it's time to decide what you're going to do about it. Keep playing or level up. Let's talk signs next, because once you spot them, you'll never fall for the same tricks again. Let's talk about the signs, those little red flags that so many of us ignore because we want things to work out. But here's the truth. When a guy's not serious, he tells you. Not always with words, but through patterns, habits, and inconsistencies. So if you've been second guessing where you stand, here are 5 classic signs that he's not serious about you. And no, you're not imagining them. First, he's inconsistent. One day he's all over you, texting, calling, making plans, and then he disappears for days or acts cold. This hot and cold behavior isn't accidental. It's a control tactic, whether he realizes it or not. A man who's serious about you isn't going to risk losing you by being flaky. He's going to show up consistently. If you're constantly wondering what version of him you're going to get today, that's not romance, that's emotional roulette. Second, he avoids talking about the future. If the conversation ever shifts toward commitment, labels, or anything long-term, he either jokes about it, changes the subject, or says, let's just see where this goes. Now, there's nothing wrong with taking your time, but when someone truly values you, they're not afraid of defining the connection. Ambiguity benefits him, not you. Don't fall for the I'm just going with the flow line if the flow never leads anywhere. Third, his words don't match his actions. He might say all the right things, I really like you, I've never met someone like you. You're different. But if he doesn't back it up with genuine effort, it's just talk. Sweet nothings are easy to say, but if he's not making space for you in his life, if plans keep falling through or he only hits you up late at night, that's not interest, that's convenience. Fourth, he keeps you at arm's length emotionally. Maybe he shares just enough to keep you invested, but every time you try to get closer, he pulls back. You find yourself opening up more than he does, always trying to prove that you're worth investing in. That's not connection, it's imbalance. A man who's serious about you wants you to know him, and he wants to know you too. And fifth, your intuition is screaming at you, but you keep silencing it. You feel uneasy. You're always waiting, hoping, trying. You make excuses for him that you'd never make for anyone else. Deep down, you know something's off, but you don't want to walk away from the potential. Let me tell you something. Potential will keep you stuck in a situation that was never meant to grow. The right man won't make you beg for clarity, attention, or effort. So if these signs feel familiar, it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to take the blindfold off. A man who's not serious will drain your time, energy, and heart if you let him. You deserve more. And in the next section, I'm going to tell you exactly why confronting him might not be the power move you think it is. Stay with me. So you're fed up. The mixed signals, the disappearing acts, the late night texts with no real effort behind them, it's exhausting. And at some point, you've probably thought, I just need to confront him. I'll call him out, lay everything on the table, and finally get the truth. It makes sense because you're craving clarity. You want to feel seen, heard, validated. But here's the hard truth. Confronting a guy who plays games rarely gives you the closure or honesty you're looking for. Why? Because men who play games usually aren't emotionally mature enough to own their behavior. When you confront them, they'll often do one of three things: deny it, deflect it, or flip it back on you. You might hear things like, you're overthinking, it's not that deep, or the classic, you're being too emotional. And instead of feeling empowered, you walk away feeling small, crazy, or like you just proved his point. That's not closure, that's manipulation. See, when you confront a man who's not serious, he's not going to suddenly become self-aware and admit, yeah, I've been stringing you along because I like the attention, but never had real intentions. That's not how this works. His ego is too involved. His pride is too fragile. And honestly, he probably doesn't even want to be held accountable. The moment you challenge him, he might even pull away more, go cold, or twist the narrative to make you seem like the problem. And now you're not just hurt, you're confused and doubting yourself. Here's what makes it worse. If you confront him from a place of emotion, tears, frustration, desperation, it hands him the power. He sees that you're invested, that he still has a grip on you. And for someone who thrives on control or validation, that's a green light to keep doing what he's doing. Not because he's evil, but because he knows you'll stay and try harder, even after he's given you less. The truth is, silence often speaks louder than confrontation. Pulling back your energy, setting boundaries with your actions, not your words, that's what gets his attention. Not because it's a game, but because it shows self-respect. When you stop explaining your worth and start demonstrating it, you shift the power dynamic. You're no longer asking him to care. You're requiring it. And if he can't rise to that, he falls away. Look, there's nothing wrong with wanting honesty, wanting to understand, but confronting someone who isn't capable of giving you real answers is like yelling into a void. You pour your heart out and get emptiness in return. So instead of demanding clarity from someone who benefits from your confusion, give that clarity to yourself. You're not crazy. You're not too much. You're not wrong for wanting more. But you are done explaining yourself to someone who's never going to get it. In the next part, I'm going to show you how to emotionally detach without ghosting, without drama, just pure self-preservation and power. Let's go. Emotionally detaching from someone you care about, especially someone you wanted things to work with, isn't easy. You're not made of stone. You don't just unfeel things because they're not good for you. But here's the thing, detaching doesn't mean cutting someone off cold. It doesn't mean ghosting, being petty, or pretending you never cared. Real detachment is quiet, powerful, and rooted in self-respect. So how do you do it without losing your dignity or your mind? It starts with shifting the focus back to you. When you've been wrapped up in someone who's emotionally unavailable or playing games, your energy naturally starts orbiting around them. You overanalyze every message, every silence, every action. Emotional detachment begins the moment you decide to stop making them the center of your emotional world. Then start building emotional distance by removing the fuel. That means stepping back from checking their social media. No late night scrolling through their stories. No decoding their tweets. That's emotional self-harm disguised as curiosity. If it hurts, mute it. You're not being dramatic. You're protecting your peace. Keep your conversations light if you're still in contact. Don't pour your heart into someone who hasn't earned your vulnerability. Give less without going cold. Be kind, but clear. If he reaches out with the usual, "Hey stranger," or dry late night texts, you don't need to entertain it. A simple, polite, and non-engaging reply, or even no reply at all, is enough. You're not ghosting, you're just choosing not to play anymore. Now here's the real key. Replace the emotional void with you. Fill your time with things that remind you who you were before him, before the confusion, before the game. Hang out with your friends, reconnect with your goals, take yourself out, romanticize your own life again. Because the more full your world becomes without him, the less space he takes up in it. Emotional detachment isn't about punishing him. It's about freeing you. You don't need to block him to move on. You just need to stop revolving your energy around someone who doesn't know what to do with it. That's power. That's healing. And here's the beautiful thing. When you detach, you see everything clearly. The excuses don't hit the same. The manipulation stops working. You stop craving his attention and start craving your own peace. Next, I'm going to teach you the power pause technique. Something that'll help you reset the energy between you two without even saying a word. Stay close, this is where the shift really begins. Let's talk about the power pause, a game-changing technique that helps you reset the dynamic with a guy who's been playing games, pulling away, or just not giving you the clarity you deserve. It's simple, powerful, and honestly, a little bit magical when done right. And no, this isn't ghosting. This is intentional space. The power pause is about one thing: breaking the cycle. When you've been stuck in a loop of inconsistent texts, on again, off again vibes, or emotional chaos, the worst thing you can do is keep feeding that energy. Every time you reach out first, double text, or keep the convo going when it feels dry, you're reinforcing the idea that he can give you less and still keep access to you. That's where the power pause comes in. Here's how it works. You simply stop initiating. Stop reaching out. Stop over-explaining. You pull your energy back, not in a dramatic "I'm done with you" kind of way, but with quiet confidence. You don't announce it, you just do it. You let the silence speak. That's what resets the dynamic, because now he feels the absence of your presence. See, when someone is used to having your energy on tap, they get comfortable. They stop trying. The power pause disrupts that. It creates space for him to feel what it's like without your constant availability. And trust me, if he's genuinely interested, that space will speak louder than any confrontation ever could. Now, during this pause, your job is to redirect all that emotional energy back into yourself. Focus on you. Post the things you love. Spend time with people who actually pour into you. And lean into the version of yourself that existed before the confusion. Because when your attention shifts back to your own life, you stop waiting on crumbs and start attracting better. Here's the catch though. The power pause only works if it's real. If you're secretly waiting for his name to pop up on your phone every 5 minutes, you're still giving your power away. This is about detachment, not manipulation. You don't pause to punish. You pause to protect your peace. And yes, sometimes during the power pause, he won't come back. That's okay. That's information. That's clarity. If someone can lose your presence and feel nothing, they were never your person to begin with. But more often than not, when you stop feeding the game, they notice. Suddenly, the effort comes back. The "hey, been thinking about you" messages show up. The invitations, the compliments, it all returns. But now, you're different. Now you get to decide, do I really want this? Or was I just attached to the chase? The power pause is about reclaiming your control without a single dramatic word, just silence, just space, just self-worth in action. And when he does come back, that's when you'll need your next move. Stay tuned, because up next, I'm giving you exact scripts to use when he plays hot and cold. So what do you actually say when a guy plays hot and cold? When one day he's all in, and the next he's emotionally unavailable, distant, or just weirdly detached. It's one of the most frustrating dynamics to deal with, because it constantly keeps you second guessing yourself. But you don't need to beg for clarity, over-explain your worth, or go into long emotional rants. What you need are calm, clear scripts that reflect confidence, boundaries, and self-respect. Here's the first one. For when he suddenly pulls back after being all over you, hey, I noticed the energy shifted a bit. I'm not here to chase or guess. I value direct connections, not confusion. Simple. You're calling it out without being dramatic. You're not accusing. You're stating what you see and where you stand. It makes him realize you're aware and not here to play detective. Now, let's say he comes back like nothing happened. That hot, cold move where he disappears for days, then pops back in your DMs like, hey, stranger, or missed me. Try this. Takes more than a random text to reconnect with me. Consistency is what gets my attention. This one is chef's kiss because it's flirty but firm. It lets him know you're not waiting around, and that effort, not charm, is what matters now. If he says he's just busy lately and that's why he's been distant, you can say, totally get that, life gets busy. I'm just at a point where I match the energy I receive. That hits different. You're not mad, you're not chasing, you're simply mirroring. You don't have to fight for a spot in anyone's life. And this script says that without a single ounce of desperation. Here's another one for when he tries to reheat the connection after ghosting or pulling away emotionally. I've shifted my focus lately. I realized I need deeper connections, not temporary attention. Now that one stings in the best way. It shows growth, it shows clarity, and it subtly tells him that access to you isn't a revolving door. And finally, if he ever throws that classic, I don't know what I want line, say this. That's okay. You don't have to know. I just know I'm not in the business of staying where things are unclear. Boom. That's boundary, maturity, and detachment in one sentence. The key with all these scripts is tone. You don't need to sound angry or cold. The power is in being unbothered. You're not chasing, you're not performing, you're simply expressing standards. Because remember, you don't change a hot and cold guy with pressure or emotion. You shift the energy with clarity and calm confidence. These aren't just lines. These are filters to see who's serious and who just wants access without effort. Now let's move into the real power move. How to reclaim your energy and radiate confidence after emotionally detaching. Let's talk glow up. Let's be real. You don't just want to move on. You want him to regret playing you. And not in a petty, revenge-filled way, but in that undeniable, unbothered, I leveled up without you kind of way. The truth is, nothing makes a man regret losing you faster than seeing you evolve into the version of yourself that he didn't nurture, but someone else will. So how do you do it? You don't chase, you don't explain, you don't post some forced quote hoping he sees it and suddenly wakes up. You shift your focus completely inward, because the glow up that hits hardest is the one that's silent at first and loud when it's too late. Start by emotionally unplugging. That means you're no longer reacting to his breadcrumbs. No more getting excited when he texts you out of nowhere. No more double checking if he watched your stories. You're not waiting on a signal from him anymore. You've become the signal. Next, focus on becoming magnetic again. Not for him, but for you. Pour into your appearance. Yes, but even more into your energy. Your glow up starts when your peace becomes your priority. Go to that class, hit the gym, switch up your look, say yes to new people, new places, and new habits. Start building a version of your life that feels so good, so aligned, that his absence feels like a blessing. Now here's the part that stings for him the most. When you stop needing closure and start thriving, when he realizes you're no longer affected, no more passive-aggressive messages, no more trying to make him see anything, you've gone silent and soft-glowed into a higher frequency, that's when regret hits. Because now you've become a woman he can't just access when it's convenient. A woman he thought would always be there and is. Men remember the woman who held it down and held it together. The one they played with thinking she'd wait. And when they circle back and realize you're no longer emotionally available, that you've elevated beyond their reach, That's the moment regret settles in. And let's be clear, you don't need to block him to prove a point. You just need to live in such a way that his presence or absence doesn't move you anymore. When he sees you out, glowing, laughing, building, surrounded by real energy, that's when the silent what if haunts him. Because he didn't just lose access to a woman. He lost access to a version of himself that only existed when he had you. So no, you don't have to get even, you just have to get elevated. That's how you make him regret playing you, by refusing to play small in the aftermath. Next, I'm giving you the exact mindset shifts to stay unbothered, even when he tries to come back. Because the real power is not reacting at all. There comes a moment when you stop asking if he'll change and start asking yourself why you're still hoping he will. That moment, it's when your heart begins to whisper what your mind has been trying to ignore. It's time to walk away for good. Knowing when to walk away isn't about a single dramatic event. Sometimes it's quiet. It's not the screaming match or the obvious betrayal. It's the slow, constant ache of being unseen. It's the conversations that never happen, the effort that never comes, and the tears you cry alone, hoping things will click for someone who just doesn't get it. You walk away when your peace is being traded for anxiety, when you're constantly on edge, wondering how he feels, what he's thinking, or why he's distant again. When love becomes a guessing game instead of a safe space, that's your sign. You walk away when your standards become negotiations. When you find yourself settling for the bare minimum because you're afraid of starting over, afraid of being alone, or afraid that maybe, just maybe, this is the best you'll get. But deep down, you know this isn't love. It's emotional survival. You walk away when you've communicated, when you've shown up, when you've given chances, and nothing changes. Because change requires willingness, not just words. A man who truly values you won't make you beg for consistency. He won't leave you confused. He'll make sure you know where you stand. And if you're not getting that, you're not asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong person. Walking away doesn't mean you didn't care. It means you cared enough about yourself to stop waiting for potential and start honoring reality. It means you're ready to stop romanticizing what could be and start choosing what is. And yes, it's going to hurt. You'll miss him. You'll replay the good moments. You'll wonder if you're doing the right thing. But I promise you, nothing is lonelier than staying with someone who makes you feel alone. That slow heartbreak, the kind that chips away at your self-worth over time, that's worse than any goodbye. So when do you walk away for good? You walk away when staying means losing you. Because one day, you're going to meet someone who doesn't play games, who doesn't make you question your worth, who shows up consistently, communicates clearly, and loves loudly. But to get there, you have to clear the space. And that starts by choosing yourself. No closure, no dramatic exit, just a quiet decision to stop shrinking, to fit someone who never saw your fullness. And that decision, that's where your healing begins. In this final part, I'm going to guide you through the mindset that keeps you strong after you walk away, so you never look back and regret choosing peace over potential. If you've made it this far, let me just say, I see you. I see your strength, your softness, your confusion, your hope. And I want you to know this, everything you just heard isn't about a guy. It's about you. It's about how deeply you're learning to honor your own heart, your own worth, and your own future. You were never asking for too much. You were just offering too much to someone who wasn't ready to receive it. And now you're choosing different. You're choosing you. That is powerful. That is beautiful. And that is the beginning of your next chapter. The truth is, you're not here to fix someone. You're not here to convince anyone to see your value. You're here to grow, to glow, to elevate. And the right person, he won't need to be taught how to treat you. You'll recognize your energy from the start, but until that person shows up, you get to pour all that love back into yourself. So what's next for you? Peace, power, alignment. You'll stop second guessing yourself. You'll start attracting people who speak your language, who meet you where you are, not where you had to lower yourself to be. You'll notice you're no longer triggered by the hot and cold behavior because you've risen above the game. You've built boundaries. You've taken your energy back. And most of all, you've healed in silence, grown in strength, and chosen to walk forward with grace. That's a version of you no one can play with again. So don't look back. Don't wonder what if. The man who played you will one day realize what he lost. But by then, you'll be too far ahead to care. Keep glowing, keep growing, and don't forget your energy is sacred. Protect it, pour into it, and know that you are already enough, exactly as you are. If this video spoke to you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more real, honest, and empowering relationship content. And in the next video, I'll show you how to completely reset your dating energy so you can start attracting better from the very first conversation. You've got this. I'm proud of you.